So, I have no money. The corporation Wayland has a lot of money. I have no plascrete, and they've put down an obvious agenda which won't win me the game, but I can get it anyway. Yeah, it's safe to run. Right. In today's Seedy location, I can't appear on camera, the heat's unbearable, so yeah, let's just say it won't be suitable for me to show myself. Either way, on today's Seedy location, I want to talk to you about factions. And I'm going to complain again, as I often do, because, you know, obviously all the designers of Netrunner value my words, and of course they chomp at the bit to get my opinion on things. So here's where I'm coming from. Here's the issues that I don't know how to communicate, because I'm a poor communicator, which is often why I imagine I wouldn't be really good at this, but here we go. The best way I can describe it is, when I say a faction is weak, I mean I don't see the answers in-house or the abilities in-house that I would expect them to have. So I'm just going to go to Netrunner DB, sort by faction, sort view by scans only. Let's go by each faction. Let's go for it faction by faction, because again, not all factions have this problem. Let's start with HB. As you can see, even from the agenda suite, you can start to see an issue. Nowhere near as strong as NBN or Jinteki. Let me give an example. Jinteki agendas, at least some of them, have the ability to defend themselves. And that ability wins games, because I've seen games won off feature access. I've seen games lost because the runner couldn't steal a future perfect when they just thought it was all they needed. I've seen people die from VID killing them because again they try to steal legends at once and then they die. HB has no such protection as that. And again, if that is the case, what about the other side? How about scoring these agendas helping to win on ways besides points? That's what NBN has. Okay, while there are some defensive agendas such as Too Good to Be True and 15 minutes, I consider it defensive because it can be removed. Also, I suppose you could include the action one that gives you 5 credits, I suppose. There are also agendas that are highly aggressive. For example, Astroscript Pilot Program, of course, the most aggressive agenda in the game, as well as Breaking News, which can deliver tags during the corporation's turn. There's many, those two being the most prevalent. They do have some other actions like installing assets with there's one that stores assets, and there's one that gives you more points there when you have advanced here, so on and so forth. I won't go into that now, but the point has been made there. I feel that the Jinteki and NBN agendas can defend themselves as well as attack. How could I forget the Jinteki agenda that when you score it, you do net damage equal to the agendas the runner scored. Either way, let's take a look at HB's agendas, shall we? Project Wotan. When you score it, to simplify the phrasing, you can use tokens, they'll be free, to add a subroutine and end the run on a bioroid. Now, the majority of bioroids, except for one bioroid, you can click through. So you're basically adding an extra click onto a bioroid that just ends the run. And most of the time that's like a really, really weak Nisei. And a Nisei counter from Jiteki ends the run, and that's a highly defense. And again, that's a highly aggressive one because when you score it, it does something really good. I mean, making it a bio specifically doesn't really do too much because you have to have the bio-road res, and you can't. And you'd have to use all 3 counters just to, and that would often only add 3 credits to a piece of ice anyway. That's adding 3 credits to a piece of ice is not a really, doesn't sound like a really worthwhile investment. So I can't really see Project Rotan being played as much compared to the Caprice Nisei, which again is a 2/4, and it can guarantees ends the run. And let's have a look at Efficiency Committee now. This one I feel is fair. You can get it, or you can get 3 extra clicks. You just can't add agenda counters. Okay, this one I'm fine with. The only issue is, again, there's nothing really besides advancement tokens that I'd really want to spend those extra clicks on. So far, I mean, the only true real use of extra clicks is to score agendas. That's it. I mean, when I've used it other times, I've used it to gain a credit. So again, that's 3 credits, 3 cards. How often have I got the kill off to win the game? Not often. And there are combinations where you can fast advance out, but again, that requires much elaborate setup. But again, I feel those conditions are fair. So Efficiency Committee, I feel is fair. But again, you'd need the influence from outside the faction to actually make use of this card, which I feel is an issue because, again, breaking news out of MBN, you can use the combos with a lot of in-faction cards. Or the Jinteki net damage ones, combo of cards in faction. Even Caprice Nisei Mark II combines with Caprice Nisei the upgrade. Again, there's not too much game-winning, truly hard-hitting things that Efficiency Committee combos with, because again, if you try to combo it with Biotic, you can't score the agenda, which is the main reason why I'd want extra clicks. Sentinel Defense Program. An extra net damage every time you do a brain damage. Now, the main issue of this is the difficulty of actually doing brain damage to begin with, thus making this a blank 2/4. Now, if it did an extra brain damage, I'd feel it'd be worth it. Or if it at least came with 1 counter that gave a brain damage, because then that's a valid thing. I mean, if most of these agendas actually did brain damage, I'm looking at you, self-destruct chip, I'd feel it would be valid. Although I will allow self-destruct chip because it can be, well, the first one you score does nothing, second one does kind of something, but by then the push is not enough. Bifrost Array I like. Okay, so it'll put extra counters on Project Rotan, Efficiency Committee, fire the beta test again, and just extra counters in beta test, and that's about it. But again, most of these counters are irrelevant outside of niche builds, and again, only the accelerated beta test I feel is truly relevant, but then again, you have to really hamper your efficiency to make use of it. And that's what really gets me. HB should be the robotic efficient faction, but it is not. It is, you seem to have to build inefficiently and ineffectively versus the NBN and the Jinteki, which seems to be a lot more diverse. No, sorry, I take that back. Not diverse, a lot more flexible and applicable over a wider range of games. And because Jinteki and more so NBN can be so diverse over a range of games and competitive in a lot of games without having to be built nichely, I feel that it's so unfair. I shall continue this assassination of the design of these cards, and I've already got over soldier strut chips. Military upgrades is nice. I feel military upgrades could have been a 2-5, a 2-6, because I've lost games where I've actually managed to score this out, like literally in the first 3-4 turns, and I've just been it cost me such an effort to score this out that I've not been able to recover. And there's no more late game anymore. I'm sorry, by the late game the one has already won because they can have enough money and resources. There's very few truly early game runners anymore that don't win outright, and I don't feel HB can stall the game enough for it to use any of these late game abilities. Hass's pet project is okay, but again, I suppose against minor anarchs, it's nice to have that server, but having the might, you have to have the money to res that server, and I mean, if it res the cards, that would be different. That would make this amazing. That would make this worthwhile. A limit 1 per deck. There we go, and that'd be worth finding that slot. But again, because HB or outside of ETF, you lack the funds. You just really lack the funds. Project Ares relies too much on mid-season's replacements and psychographics because there's no real way to add all these counters. And the bad pub just reduces efficiency, and the fact that the runner trashes the cards, chooses the cards to uninstall, that's also an issue. Again, it relies too heavily on out of faction cards for it to be effective. Domestic sleepers relies on out of faction cards. You're paying forfeit agendas to res cards. Research grant, again, out of faction cards. I mean, you can have a few of these cards that are just not powerful. I mean, accelerated beta test is good. I mean, it's so much of a gamble. If you could just, you didn't have to sacrifice the cards and put them into archives, I feel that this would be like the kind of strength it would need to be for core set. Advanced concept hopper is a step in the right direction, but I feel it should be every run, really. It just needs, I mean, the power curve of these cards, it's like these agendas are neutered, and it just really hampers HB. Vote Machine Initiative, I tried a click stalling deck that just tried to use up all the runners' clicks. It works great for a while until they're like, oh wait, I just got to trash these things because the trash costs are so low, or I'm wizard and I just trash them for free. Okay, oh, now I've got one of my clicks back, and then everything all falls apart, and I got all my clicks back. You spend all this money getting all these click locks into place, and it's not worth it. And then they just turntable this away, and you lost your counters. It's just so annoying. And personality profiles. Personality profiles. Don't get me started with the amount of recursion that's going on. Even if you do snipe the card, sure, they lose a click, but you don't have enough money or time to get all the other click lock into position. And don't get me started on shipment from Mirror Morph. It takes up a card slot, doesn't save you the money, it costs so much money, it just doesn't work. I've tried it. Project Viturious is okay. That's fine. It's really because you can score it out, or you can make it a 5-5-2 and get the thing. I have no problem with this card. So Viturious beta test, no problem. It's just there's not enough of the cards like that for it to work. Rex campaign, sure. HB theme wise, I think HB should be able to deal with bad publicity. I feel it should be able to deal with more bad publicity. MBN definitely should be the king of dealing with bad publicity, although it can do tags, it can tax the runner, it can kill, it gets rid of bad publicity, just controls the game with hand manipulation, gets a lot of money because it doesn't need to res much ice. It's just then HB, they can't deal with bad pub. It's just, it wouldn't be so bad if I feel they can earn more money out of ETF. Sure, Wayland should be able to earn more money, but still, okay. This is not going to survive long enough because you can't res the ice to keep the runner out, because they're just going to blackmail in, trash it, or they'll just break in and trash it before we get rid of the bird pub or we gain. And again, waiting 2 times for 5 credits it's not really efficient. It's just not efficient, because it's one click for 4 credits. It's just a really inefficient. No, you never really get it. You can't. And making the run on the server is often not taxed enough for the runner. Eliza's Toy Box. I've found this card, being able to res cards is nice. It's just slow. It's just really slow. But you know what? I'm fine with this card. House Oncology. There's not enough stuff that you're afraid to run against out of House Biroid. Again, with the recursion being the way it is, aggressive secretary is not a problem. And the Tubular Writer is kind of the only thing really, but again that's really expensive, and you'd have to actually hit the run over one so they get scared, because even if they trash one, they're not too worried about them. And the extra clicks are nice, but it's just really inefficient to get. As you can see, the Bartic Labor is just much more efficient to use, and you pay the 2 credits, and it's just much safer. Okay, now Ronald 5, I would admit I actually kind of like Ronald 5. It's great against Wizard. Difficult to res when runners affect. I do actually like this card. This card, we need more cards like this, because with the trashing meta, you need an anti-trash card, and I actually do like Ronald 5. But again, I used it as part of the Click Clock deck. When a runner starts to do the calculations, it's okay, trash Ronald 5 first, lose a click. Okay, now I can trash your other low-cost things. Again, I think it just needs to cost more. I think you really need to tax runners not only with clicks but with credits, because you're not making them lose cards. They got all the cards as well. They got lots more money. Yeah, taxing clicks is not enough. It's not enough. They take them apart too easily. Cybernetics Core, I like. I'm not using it, but I like it because you get the extra hand size. And again, it works great with CI. I mean, it works great if I imagine CI haven't been able to do combos. And I can respect this card. It's a high trash cost. I don't use it, but I like the design of it. More cards like this. Make more cards that make HB way more efficient. I mean, there's a toy box, not as efficient, but it does something. House Oncology AI does not make you more efficient. These agendas do not make you efficient enough. You're not saving clicks with these, I'm sorry, except for the Trivius and the beta test. Even the pet project has issues because you need money to make use of the efficiency, and that's just not efficient. Jeeves model, finally, that's good. Yes, everyone actually uses this. Yes, doing the same action because it can gain you a credit, can gain you a card, gains you an extra install. That it can advance out stuff. Yes. See, this is a way to give you extra clicks. And the high trash cost. Yes. Like I said. Adonis campaign. Yes. Trash cost is not as good, but the return on investment is worth it. It costing you a credit, -1 credit. That's fine. Clone Suffrage. Yes, sure. I like it. Haas. I feel it should give you 3 credits, but because you can make runners run. Again, taxing is not strong enough in HB, I feel, because you don't have the money to res the ice, and again, it takes too much time with Eliza's Toy Box, and you have to get lucky for a beta test. I like Haas. He's the kind of efficiency trap that I like, but again, you would need some way to boost his efficiency. Again, he's just not efficient enough for the install advance, and just to gain 2 credits and to tax the runner 2 credits in a click. It's not efficient enough, I'm afraid. Director Haas, I like. I don't use her much, but I like her. She's fine. Alex, again, too much time and investment. If she wasn't a click to trash to get the thing, then it would be fine. Again, it's just not efficient enough. Sublevra is fine. It's costs too much, but it's fine. I think it's for what it should be. Isabel Maguire, if you get she should give you the credits back. If she doesn't give you the credits back, there's it's too inefficient to move the cards around. Jinteki can just move the cards around more efficiently with the card or with the clones, and they're just way more efficient ways of doing it in Jinteki. And as a custom Basic player, I can't do it efficiently. IT department is kind of okay, but again, it's not efficient enough, and because the tax of setting it up is just too much, and the tax of keeping them out isn't worth it with David around. It's just not worth it. Brain taking doesn't save you enough credits. It's okay, but SAP's a hassle. You need all 3 of them to get any real benefit. And you need to be using bioids again, and bioids get expensive, and this doesn't lower the cost of them if they're running last click. And if they're running last click, they can often break the 1 or 2 pieces of ice you can res. It's not efficient enough. Testing ground, oh, come on. I like it. I've done combos. There's some crazy combos you can do with the Lakshmi, like resing and deresing stuff with the product assembly lines. Okay, fine. More cards like product advanced assembly lines. That's good. And then I'm gonna have more reasons to use testing grounds. But again, it's so efficient to do something really inefficient. You have to use time and money just to get to de-res stuff. It's just okay. Team sponsorship, excellent card. More cards like this, saving clicks and time, excellent card. Aggressive secretary, excellent card. Again, just recursion is really strong right now with the runner. Lakshmi smart fabrics, fine. Encryption protocol, too inefficient, way too inefficient. With that amount of money the runner has, and Wizard just takes it apart because you put down one. Wizard gets rid of it. Done. The tax is not sustainable enough with these cards. And again, it takes it a card slot and doesn't earn you any money. Eve campaign, fine. 2.0 ice is fine, but I feel that it should have 3 subroutines minimum to force around to hit at least one of these subroutines. Just make one of these subroutines undesirable. Fenrest, fine. Next ice I like is fine. The cheap ice that gets stronger, that's fine. It's all good. That's good. More like that, please. Hudson, you know what? I'll allow Hudson. Mainly works with when you don't want your assets trashed and stuff like that. But again, no, you know what? I like Hudson, but you need to install. But the problem is, if you've got traps in there, people can avoid the like trap upgrades, and I suppose it can combo well with the other upgrades, I suppose. But again, it's so much time to set up, and then you need all the money to res all the stuff. It's just so late game. By the time you try and set up, you're getting your R&D attacked, and there's no defense against multi-access R&D. And don't get me started, because then they'll actually break the Hudson. Howler, you know what? Fine, allow Howler. Geary Labyrinth, you know what? I like Geary Labyrinth as well, even though it's cheap. But we need more cards like Geary Labyrinth, like a high strength Geary Labyrinth. You know what? Like, make this a barrier and put that in front of a barrier. You know, because even Jinteki has that Wall of Thorns, and I know before you say we've got Hamdal, but they click through Hamdal. These click through the brain damage, lose a click. Oh dear, I lost a click. But it's more efficient to lose that click than to take a brain damage, and it doesn't cost that much compared to losing the brain. Even taking the brain damage would have been so much more inefficient. That would truly have an impact across the game. And if we had more barriers, just more barriers that do stuff, because right now barriers they don't do stuff, and they don't even tax properly. Except for Next Silver. Next Silver is the only piece of barrier because when it gets up to 4 subroutines, then it starts to tax. But then it also gets Parasite. But there we go. Sagittarius. I mean, it's 4 strength. 4 strength Sentry. No, it's just not enough. Marcus, come on. I mean, Eli was the gold standard. I mean, the reason why Eli was used everywhere is because it actually did its bloody job. It was a barrier that actually did its bloody job. No one wants to use 2 clicks. Not when you could afford to res it. Hamdal, you click through 1 Hamdal. If you lose all your clicks, get through that 1 piece of ice on that server because you can't afford to res anything else. Yeah. But Eli, you know you can afford to res something behind the Eli or in front of the Eli. You know you can afford it. and you don't want to spend 2 clicks on a small piece of ice like that. Yeah, it was actually doing its job. That's why people actually used it. Marcus doesn't do its job. Most people will be more than happy to uninstall something. It's like, oh, I can trash this. Yeah, it saves me a click. Or I'll just use the click and bounce out. Or I'll just break it with something for free strength because I can afford it. It's just too easy. Architect. Okay, Architect's a good card. I'm not even going to bother. It's good. Next Gold. You know what? I like Next Gold. It can get kills. This card actually does something. It needs to be more powerful when you get there, but you can't click through it. Strength 4. I like it better than Sagittarius because even though Sagittarius can trash one program, I feel it should be Strength 5 at the very least for it to really count as something. At Strength 4, there's just too many ways around Strength 4 Sentry with Mimic now, because you can data sucker it down, you can there's Null, there's Parasites, there's all this kind of stuff that makes the ice Strength 3 straight away, and it's just not strong enough. But with Next Gold, that's fine, because if you do it that one time when you try and corporate troubleshooter, okay, sure, maybe most likely they'll have the David and it'll be annoying and you'll cry and you feel sad. But if there is that one time you can do it, it actually trashes multiple programs, does net damage, it really does give you lots of bang for the buck if you set it up right. Sagittarius, most you can do is 2, but again, with how link prevalent runners are now and how much money they have, it's just not enough. It's just not worth it. Touareg, you know what, like it. Fixed RAM, okay, now we're getting started here. This is good. Because, yeah, it's Trace 4. Okay, even if they got, like, strong link, you feel like, okay, at least I have a legitimate chance. You'll want to click through it. You want to get your link set up. It's fine. Fairchild, fine, I like it. It's one cost, it's pip. I wish it was a Sentry, because then you'd still have to pay 2 with the Mimic. Or even better, some kind of barrier. You know, with a pay one at the end of the run at the end, that would have been it. That would have been amazing. Yeah, that would have been amazing. Just to pay one or end the run on the end of that. So 3 subroutines, and yeah, that would have been so worth it. But as a code gate, it's too susceptible to Yogg right now. It's just too cheap for Anox. It's just far too cheap. Brainstorm, love it. It's fine. I mean, it gets broken all the time because most of the time when runners run on contests, it's got 5 subroutines and they normally have the 5 credits to break with Mimic. So, you know, it's fair. But if you get it off, great. It's great. It can be devastating. It's fair. Fine. It's really taxing. It can be taxing. Rotor turret, you know what? Fine. It's weak, but it ends the run. In most Sentries, other Sentries don't do that. It's fine. Fairchild 2.0, I love it. See, this is the kind of 2.0 ice you need. It's got 3 subroutines. Okay, it's strength 3 and yoggable, but early game, yeah, you know, early game it's actually going to actually land the brain damage and tax them the clicks, and yeah, and it makes it worthwhile. Yes, more ice like this, please. More itchy, fine. It's losing 2 clicks. Again, that's great. And the trace normally you can do the trace thing, so you have the option to tag them. It's nice. It's nice. Viper, you know what? I like Viper. With Code Gate Breakers and Link being the way it is, it's not as powerful, but I like the way it is. Viper's fine. I like Hourglass. I like making them lose clicks. See, this is the kind of click loss you need, because it makes them lose all the clicks. It's great. I like it. I try to use it. I use it a lot. It actually does its job, because against Strength 4 Code Gate, it's got multiple subroutines. It's not too expensive to res. I like it. Sherlock, no. It needs a 3rd subroutine at the very least, and it doesn't trash the programs most times. Yeah, it just doesn't really truly trash the programs. And you can click through too. Z. See, the problem with Z is, it's like they'd need to click through something and then click on this. And I find that doesn't happen enough. It's like they tend to say, okay, I'm going to click through one piece of advice, the rest I'm going to break. And Z is too easy for them to break. Hamdal's okay, although you can't leave it on its own much. You can't leave it on its own because I run, click through 2, take the brain damage and access, and often win the game. And that's what's happened with Hamdal. It's like, okay, I know if I do this, I can take the brain damage and win the game, and it's doesn't do it enough. Not for what it's costing. Wotan, I like. I like Wotan. Expensive as hell, but once it's rezzed, it tends to do something. It tends to actually cost the runner something to get through it. I mean, I had a Kate that had to pay 7 and 2 counters to get through this, and yeah, that was alright. It was the only taxing piece of ice I had, and I rezzed it with Nigel's toy box. Oh, and I also got it off a few beta tests. So I actually like this piece of ice, but the problem is if you can't hard res it because you can't afford to lose 14 credits. Eli is the model for what barrier should be, although it should have been maybe 3 or 4 influence at the very least, and that would have fixed Eli for me. 3 or 4 influence. Yeah, sure, you can put this in your NEH, but again, it's going to cost you the influence because it actually does its bloody job and actually keeps runners out. Itchy 2.0, like it, it's fine. Mind layout, nowhere near efficient enough. Too easy to break. Because you need the money to res the ice afterwards, put it down. IQ can get stupidly expensive for just like a strength 5 code gate. It's not worth it for a single subroutine. Lab dog gets broken too easy by AI or parasited. Enforcer, just click through 2. Yeah, sure, trash your virtual resources rarely matters. Yeah, trash your console. So just doesn't do it enough. And if it said like trash 2 resources or something like that, trash a resource, even trash a resource that the runner gets to pick, or trash 1 card, that would have been it. Trash 1 card, installed card, that would have been it. That would have been trash 1 installed runner card if able. That would have been it. That would have been it. The trash of virtual resources. Trash or virus cards. That would have been, no, trash or virus cards would have been excellent. Ravana, I like Ravana. That's good. That's fine. Magnet's fine. Janice, I like. It's expensive as hell, but I like it. Sherlock 2.0, I like it because you can give the tag. Hamdal, it's alright, but you can't leave on its own. Victor's great early game. Finally, we get to the IDs. CI, okay, that's fine. I like CI because it's like a new way of playing. I'll allow it. Strategic innovations, I haven't played it, so I can't comment on it. HB, engineering the future, the only good one because now this actually gives you efficiency in the form of credits there, and makes up. And again, most of the issues I said with other cards were that you need the money to do it, and again, this is the only idea that seems to have the money to do it. Except for this new one. This new one might actually change things, given 4 credits for biowards that actually change things. The next design, you often don't get the efficiency of the clicks. You're gambling with efficiency there doesn't always work. Okay, the foundry saves your efficiency a little bit by getting the ice out, so you can be a little ice lighter, but again doesn't save you enough. So Cybernex division, okay, an actual brain damage deck, but again you tech R&D, and Rhine Knight doesn't often work enough off R&D because you can't make them lose the clicks to. It's just getting the brain damage, making them lose the clicks. Okay, see now, improving the efficiency of bioroids is nice, but again, you need the money to actually get the bioroids out there. It's not always possible. Custom botics, what I play. Okay, make yourself really, really vague. But again, anything you do is nowhere near as efficient as the real thing. Needs more influence. It just needs more influence. Or more, let me see, what's it called? The political cards from Mumbad. Alliance cards. It needs more alliance cards. There was not enough alliance cards that I could truly use, except for same hospitality and same as himself. Need more. Definitely need more alliance that benefits this ID. Successful demonstration, 2 conditional to use. It's great. It's great early game, but that's about it. As long as they don't click through. If they click through, then it becomes useless. Helium alpha test. Can't wait to see helium beta test. No, don't even using that. With Temujin contract around, it's no point using that because it's going to get free bad publicity. Defective brain chips. You don't land brain damage enough for it to count. Product recall. As I said, the low trash cost of a lot of the HB stuff makes this card an issue. It's nowhere near consistent enough. Nowhere near, thus making it inefficient. Natural growth is okay. Again, the problem is it only works really with ETF. You can use it with G's bioroids, I guess, but again, that takes time to set up. Archive memory is good. Shipment for Miramorph. Again, you having to pay. You need the money to use this card really, because if you're installing stuff, you can't res it. There's no point. If it just lowered the cost somehow, that'd be amazing. Rework is far too inefficient. Only does 1 card at a time. Jackson Howard is way more efficient. Way more efficient. So just pay the influence and use it. Reclamation order, I'd like it. Again, it's slow. It's really slow because you get paid 2 credits to get 3 cards back. Then you try to play one of the 3 cards, and your next stage play the 3 cards. And again, it takes you too long to get through all the cards you want to use. Bioroid efficiency research. Then if they just click through it, if they click through everything, then it just de-reses. Or if they got David and you got like the high strength bioroids, then just break it with David. There's too many ways around it. Accelerate diagnostics, again, same problem with alpha test. If you see the wrong cards, then you're just a sad panda. Enhanced Login Puzzle is excellent. This is the second. This is the third of the click loss cards that I actually like to use. That being Hourglass, Model 5, and this, because those actually do tax clicks, and I see the ones actually having to think about it. So if you put this out, they might use the last 2 clicks to trash something. Yeah, again, see, they're actually having to think of a way around it. But again, once they make that initial investment, 1 or 2 turns. Again, the problem is it takes you 2 or 3 turns to set up, but it only takes 1 or 2 turns to put away. And by the time you set up, you've got no money to do whatever else you need to do. Blue level, I like. I wish for 2 clicks you got more, then wish you got more money for it. Maybe like 3 cards, 6 credits. Just make it like actually worth using, because the efficiency you get from it is not really enough. Nice, but not really enough. Peak efficiency I like, but again, it's far too late game. But once it gets to the late game, if you're there, you're getting money. It's nice then. Budget labor is good. Work. Okay, this actually seems good because adding subroutines, and especially to adding it to 2.0 ice. There we go. That's the kind of stuff you need. You need to add subroutines to ice, and adding end the run, let's just say, is not enough. You need to add trash programs. You need to add brain damage. You need to add things that have a lasting effect, even though trash and programs is not as strong as I'd like it to be. Green level, it's okay. Wish it did more. Awakening Center is far too inefficient. You have to load up all the ice on there. They trash it, you lose all that ice, and again the ice only works once. It's just, and more often than not, because you can only res one piece of ice on it, is they can get through that one piece of ice through it more often than not. It's just really not worth it. Not worth the efficiency cost. Tears Hand, it's great. Okay, maybe this is really good for 2.0 ice, but again, there's not enough 2.0 ice. Need more. 1.0 ice, they just use the extra click. Just use an extra click because they can. They normally have it. Or even worse, they just pay an extra credit. It's just, yeah, it's just far too conditional. You know, if it fired the subroutine and they had to maybe spend like 1 or 2 clicks to stop it, that would be it. Like forcing subroutines is like, yeah, that would be amazing. River Valley, another part I tried as part of the click lock deck. I did try Tears Hand as well, but River Valley is far too expensive to res and it's far too simple to trash, especially with political operative. It's just far too simple to trash. Panic Button, yeah, sure, card draw is nice, but again, you're not really. But how often you're drawn to something you can actually use? How often you're drawing into something? How often do you have the money to draw and then do something else? Not often. Highland Grid, okay, this can work, but again, it's very late game. You need to have all the ice rezzed, otherwise they jack out. Fine, but then they get the money and make sure they can get in next time. When it only works late game really, when they can't afford to click, and by then you got to pray they don't have a crap ton of money to get in. Okay, so this raised the trash cost by a significant degree. However, the problem is it only works on installed cards. If this worked on uninstalled cards, like, I mean, I can't believe Jinteki has IG. I mean, why can't this work? Like, it's just only works on installed cards, and it takes time to install the cards, and then you have to Anyway, experiential data. It's just only res it by 1, and okay, sure, you pay an extra credit, great. It's just not enough. Or you pay an extra data sucker, great. It's just often not enough. Ash is good. Strongbox is too easily trashed. I mean, they run in, trash all of them. Okay, and then maybe often than not they can afford to run in again. Or if not, they'll just use the click. And you have to get like 2 or 3 of them before they becomes effective. But of course, then if they just trash them all and run in again, they've saved themselves the loss of multiple clicks. It's just so inefficient. Just so inefficient to res and so expensive to use. Rhine Knight. Okay, put it behind an hourglass, maybe, but again, the setup time to use this is just so long and drawn out, and I've never actually got this off. No, tell a lie, I got it off once. When they ran it, I put it behind an hourglass, they just ran it, last click, and just, again, I need it over R&D, because you need to protect R&D. It's just, R&D is far too vulnerable without a snare or something. But again, that's out of faction. I'm talking about in-faction solutions here, people. In-faction solutions. Now, again, I used to think corporate troubleshooter, but again, with David being around, it's often not enough. And the runout often has more money than you, and just forcing to pay 2 or 3 extra credits is often not a solution. Now, I'm going to stop here, and I'll go into Jinteki next time, and I'll just compare. You can compare the in-faction solutions versus the in-faction solutions that Jinteki has, and you'll see why Jinteki is far more efficient. It's just far more efficient overall. I love this game, and it may not seem like it, but I truly love this game, and I really want to discuss some design choices with anyone out there. Thank you very much. Bye.